So for my city, I picked Birmingham, Alabama as a legacy city. And so a little bit about Birmingham, Alabama. It's located in the South, and its current population as of 2023 is 196,644, and compared to 1990 when it was 265,940. So it's been declining for a few decades at this point. And formerly, it was known for being a huge steel and iron production given the railroad industry, big business center known for its trade and just transportation services. And it has a very rich history from the civil rights movement, given that it's in the South. It was known for its prevalence of segregation, racism, Jim Crow laws, as well as protests, sit-ins, and notable marches. And so, looking at some of the economic engines, so as I said, it's a historically industrial steel hub, but recently it has diversified its economy into healthcare, education, tech, banking, and local and federal government. And its remnants of its industrial roots remain just reinvented and a little bit innovated. And so the picture in the middle that says UAB, that's University of Alabama, Birmingham, and that's home to one of the medical schools. So there's a huge healthcare industry and opportunity to work in healthcare in Birmingham, as well as opportunity for education to either teach or attend because it's also home to a few other colleges too. And the photo on the left is the American Cast Iron Pipe Company, which is based in Birmingham. It was founded in 1905, but it's still in business because even after the railroad industry left, it still remained and innovated, and today it's still a cast iron pipe company. And so, looking at some of the challenges as a legacy city, so something we've talked about in class a lot, and a common trend among legacy cities is population decline. And so, as these industries get outsourced internationally and leave the US, cities like Birmingham face population decline because of the lack of jobs, which causes a whole other set of problems and challenges. But one of the recent challenges is the COVID-19 pandemic. Even though it was a few years ago, it had like an unprecedented impact on Birmingham's economics. And obviously, poverty and inequality, especially among people of color, still remain, even though segregation was outlawed in the 60s. Its effects are still very prevalent especially in housing. And so that graph is a graph of job growth for young business owners, or young businesses from 2008 to 2018. So that's actually relatively recent. And as you can see, Birmingham doesn't have a lot of job growth opportunity for those young businesses. And so going into the interventions based on those challenges we just looked at, one intervention could be job training programs where either government university partnerships or community organization and university partnerships or create partnerships relating to either healthcare training or entrepreneurship, as well as affordable housing task force where you are directly involving the community because there is a very large racial poverty gap that is still like very prevalent today. And so looking at the theory of change for job training programs, those partnerships will allow for an equitable access to training to build an increasingly skilled workforce that will eventually lead to young businesses becoming sustainable or becoming resilient to other external factors, as well as further diversifying the economic engines that already exist. And moving on to affordable housing, a task force that directly involves the community will generate a targeted approach for Birmingham to approach the problems that have plagued the city for decades. And so looking at housing equity for people of color and those of low income, and involving them in the process will address the racial poverty and inequality for these historically underrepresented communities. And so Birmingham was a former steel and iron hub, and now that is not its primary industry. And so there's a lot of avenues to explore when looking at interventions, but using its existing institutions and resources, and creating partnerships that involve and benefit underserved communities will help in the for the future.